Welcome into Miami Dolphins today. I am your host, RC Maxfield, and Week 7 is upon us for the Miami Dolphins as the Atlanta Falcons will head down to Miami Gardens to face off against the 1-5 Miami Dolphins. You heard that right, 1-5. What just an abysmal week out in London. And speaking of London, both of these teams have played their prior games in London. Now, Miami did not take the bye week after playing in London just last weekend. Atlanta, they did take their bye week last week and enjoyed, watching Miami lose, as none of us did here on this channel. But hey, we're going to get through this. It's going to be all right. But before we get into this week's preview, predict a score for me. Type MIA down in the comments and how many points they're going to score and everything like that. If you got the Falcons winning, who are crazy enough favored in this game, I think that tells you a lot about how bad Miami has played this far and just how little respect Vegas is giving to them. Let me know down in the comments, and I'll let you know my score prediction here later on in the video. Let's jump into the offensive stats for both of these teams. And now, it's not great when you look at the left side of the screen. If children are watching, please tell them that I am praying for them because those numbers are just abysmal, right? But you look at the Falcons, they have some strengths on offense, right? You look, they have quite a bit of a air passing kind of deal right here with Matt Ryan, where this is kind of impressive because Calvin Ridley hadn't played for a little while. Outside of that, they're not very good at running the football. Probably wouldn't expect you to be with Mike Davis as your running back, but I think the Dolphins would probably take him over Myles Gaskin, who we'll talk about here in just a bit. Overall, you're going to have to defend the pass, and that's something Miami has not done at all in recent games. And speaking of games, well, BetUS is the perfect place to bet on the games, which, listen, we all know you're betting on the games anyway, right? You might as well make some money and then have BetUS give you even more money. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use the promo code Dolphins125 to get the best deposit bonus on the internet today. Listen, you don't want to bet on the Dolphins necessarily, but they're one of 32. Maybe the Jets either. I don't want to put the Dolphins in the same company as the Jets because I just threw up in my mouth and producer Marshall's closest to the trash can and I don't think he wants to deal with that. But BetUS will help you feel a little bit better about this Dolphin season because, well, you can bet on other games. Just head over to chatsports.com/bet, use the promo code Dolphins125 and get the best deposit bonus on the internet right now. Defensively, woof. My goodness, producer Marshall and I were talking about this before the show, and he said the Atlanta Falcons defense sucks. Well, the Dolphins would like a word because it's even worse. 30th when it comes to total yards per game, 29th when it comes to passing yards per game. I guess they kind of stopped the run. Not really. Points per game, well, everybody can score on them. And then takeaways, you get a couple takeaways. That's cool at least. The Falcons offense really just scares me, right? Like, that's what it comes down to. When you have Matt Ryan, who is a proven quarterback, and he's not, what he was when he won the MVP with Julio and everybody like that. But you have Calvin Ridley. You have Kyle Pitts, right? You have guys on this offense that can make plays and a playmaker at the quarterback position that is more than capable of getting the ball to his playmakers in space, right? What has been the major issue for the Dolphins these past couple weeks? The secondary. Who would have thought, especially with Xavien Howard and Byron Jones? I get it, they were out last week, but you have one of the best cornerback duos in the NFL, and I know there's people down in the comments saying, RC, they're not one of the best cornerback duos in the NFL. You're wrong. That's okay. We can be wrong sometimes, but hey, I'm still worried because the Falcons have proven with Arthur Smith that they're slowly figuring this offense out, and now they get bona fide star wide receiver Calvin Ridley back from a personal leave of absence. It could be a rough week for the Dolphins. You tell me, though, should the Dolphins sell at the trade deadline if they lose to Atlanta? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I think it's probably a yes for me just because, again, this was not supposed to be a rebuild, but it seems like this rebuild at this point has failed that happened, right? And you just can't go into the year being a top 5 defense in the NFL, and then now you're at the bottom 3. Something has to change, and whether that's at the front office level, the personnel level, something has to change, so it would not surprise me at all if the Dolphins are sellers. But let me know down in the comments what you think. Tua Tagovailoa, he returned from the IR in Week 6 against the Jacksonville Jaguars and actually looked really good in his return, I thought, except for really one throw. But what can we expect from Tua in Week 7? I think that's the biggest question going into this game because, as I mentioned, I didn't think he looked that bad against Jacksonville in London. Now, he did have that one throw to Nate Lawson, former Raiders great, as Mitchell Renz would say. Other than that, I thought he actually looked pretty damn good for the Dolphins and really allowed the offense to get some space, and now the offensive line didn't do him any favors. But overall, this was the Tua that I thought we were going to have this season, one that looks like he's taking that next step. And I know what you're going to say, RC. They played Jacksonville. Well, you lost to Jacksonville. At least Tua wasn't the reason you lost, right? Look at these numbers that the Falcons are giving up to quarterbacks. All right, in week 1 against Jalen Hurts, who I think Tua is probably a better passer than Jalen Hurts in terms of an athlete. Yeah, Jalen Hurts is obviously better. That's a pretty good stat line. I think we'd all take that if Tua had that on Sunday down in Miami Gardens. Now, he's definitely not the GOAT, but the GOAT showed out against Atlanta in week 2 with 5 TDs and 275. Listen, I'll take 275 and 3 TDs. We don't have to get greedy and have 5 like Tom Brady. Again, he is the GOAT. And then there's Daniel Jones, who those aren't bad numbers. You just won a couple of touchdowns. And now producer Marshall, again, is our Giants guy here. He wasn't happy when I put these numbers on the screen. Let me tell you that. And I wouldn't be happy if this was Tua in week 7 against this Atlanta secondary that really isn't that great. You have to capitalize on this, because if Taylor Heinicke is doing good against the Atlanta Falcons, damn it, Tua, you better do good, because he's not even supposed to be in the league at this point. He wasn't in the league. He was on his sister's couch 2 years ago, and now he's the starter for the football team. It's kind of crazy. But if Tua has this line, I think we'd all take it. And then, of course, Zach Wilson, woof. I mean, just woof. I mean, we're all happy that the Jets missed on this pick, but we're not going to be happy if this is Tua's stat line in week number 7. I think overall, for expectations for Tua in week 7, you should probably have the expectations of that fourth line, Tyler Heinicke. I think 290 with 3 touchdowns is not out of the range of possibilities. I could see this turning into a shootout just because, well, both defenses are awful. And Miami might have the worst one, and they might just be trying to play catch-up in this game when Atlanta goes out and probably drops close to 30. Now, I don't think that Miami is foregone going to lose this game. I'll give my prediction here in a little bit. But I do think that it's going to be a shootout-type potential game for both of these clubs. And if Tua Tagovailoa can show out and have a Taylor Heinicke-type game, well, that gives Miami a much better chance to win. And I think that's probably what he's going to end up doing. But help me predict the future here. How many TDs will Tua have in Week 7 versus Atlanta? Again, remember what producer Marshall said. Atlanta has a crappy secondary. Well, they look pretty damn good in terms of numbers compared to Miami. And if that's going to be any indication of what's to come for this game, expect a lot of offense. Expect Tua to have to use the downfield passing and stop using Jalen Waddle in just intermediate and short routes. Let this man feast and go deep once in a while. But let me know how many TDs you have Tua throwing in week number 7. And if you haven't already, hit that big red button. We're closing in right now on almost 18K. It seems like just yesterday we passed 17K. It was just actually about a week and a half ago, 10 days. If we can get to 18K, hey, we're doing something right. And why not 20 at this point? We're right here on Miami Dolphins Day. We're your one-stop shop for everything news, rumors. We're going to be talking about that coaching carousel because it looks like Brian Flores is on the hot seat, maybe some GM searches as well. And we'll be talking about the draft because, well, that's what we need to look forward to right here with the Miami Dolphins playing the way that they are. Hit that big red button, turn it gray, and just head on over to YouTube and be in the know on your Miami Dolphins all season long. Now, here are the names that I am watching versus Atlanta this week. Xavien Howard, right? You think about last week, you don't have 2 of the best corners in the NFL, and Xavien Howard is obviously one of them. I think, in my opinion, he's a top 5 corner. Has he played like that all year? No, but maybe some of these injuries have really been the big part of that. I think Xavien Howard, in my opinion, if he plays, could really change the whole dynamic of this game, right? You think about it, you have guys like Calvin Ridley. You have Kyle Pitts. You also have other playmakers on that Atlanta offense that really, when it comes down to it, you should be able to match up really, really well against. And Xavien Howard is one of those guys that I would love to see him matched up against Calvin Ridley. Do we know if he's 100% healthy? No, we don't at the time of this. I'm pretty sure he'll be questionable going into this game, and probably going to be a pretty big questionable because it seems like that shoulder and groin injury are going to linger just a little bit. Speaking of injury, Byron Jones, he's also injured in this one, and his is an Achilles and groin, which It's going to be interesting to see exactly what goes down here because you want one of them at least to be out there just to have the opportunity to go up against Calvin Ridley. And then you could potentially put, a safety, maybe Eric Rowe on Kyle Pitts. That would set you up for success. But, man, if you're missing both of these guys, man, I'm playing Calvin Ridley in fantasy all freaking day. And then DeVante Parker's the next guy I want to look at here. Another injury concern. Is he going to play in this one? There's so many key players, both on the offensive and defensive side of the football for the Miami Dolphins that I'm watching, and DeVante Parker is the main one on the offensive side because I think he could feast against an Atlanta secondary that, yeah, the numbers are a little skewed in their favor right now, but let's be honest, they're not very good. I think Tua could really hyper-target him and allow those intermediate, maybe deep routes to go in DeVante Parker's favor. Just throw up a 50-50 ball. We know he's one of the best in the NFL at catching those, and I think you could do a lot of that against the Atlanta Falcons. The next guy I'm watching is another guy. It just seems like, man, he just can't stay on the field. Preston Williams. Would love to see him back, but at the same time, what's the injury and what's the diagnosis in terms of the long-term effects of this in sense of, is he going to be available this week? Because he was kind of a surprise inactive last week for me in the sense of why is he not on the field more regularly? You think about his first 2 years in the NFL, he missed 8 games in each season. That's just not good enough. You have to be available. That is the best trait you can have in the NFL is availability. Preston Williams has not shown to have that so far. But when he's on the field, he is a difference maker. Miami needs him desperately on offense. And I don't know if Myles Gaskin is the answer, but where the hell did the run game go for the Dolphins? Like, what happened? I get Malcolm Brown is bad. I get Xavien Howard has his limitations. But Myles Gaskin should not, and I mean should not, have just this few of touches. He's too explosive, and I get it. He had a fumble, but this offense needs him more than ever in terms of just having the weapons involved, right? You think about it, Miami's one of the worst running teams in the NFL. Why is that? I think that the offensive coordinators just don't scheme it very well. Myles Gaskin getting 5 carries for 9 yards, it just ain't it. He's got to get more touches. I mean, just simple and plain, he's got to get more touches, right? Most importantly, for the Dolphins secondary, I drafted him in the 5th round of fantasy. Help a brother out, you know what I'm saying? But no, in all honesty, just get him more touches. He's proven to have that kind of just rapport with Tua. Get him out in space. Use him properly. Same thing can go for Jalen Waddle. It's just frustrating to see these guys that are explosive playmakers not used properly, and Myles Gaskin is the prime example. Before we get out of here, though, predict the score for me. Who do you got winning in Week 7 between Miami and Atlanta? I'm going to go ahead and say Miami gets back in the win column and ends that losing streak, 5 games. I've got Miami on this one. And really the big thing for me, I think Tua shows out. I think he has that Heineke-type game. And I've got the Dolphins winning 27-24. And I've got Tua throwing for almost 300 yards in this one. But, hey, let me know down in the comments below what you have going down in Week 7 between the Dolphins and Atlanta. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that big red button right here for Miami Dolphins today.